so excited about this and honored that I get to be a part of this. And as Jen said, I've been in education for quite a few years, but this is my third year in my current role as one of the secondary math curriculum specialists in Rankin County School District in Mississippi. So what I wanted to talk with you today is a little bit about how we got here with the item bank, and then kind of go over three things. Mainly, I'm going to focus on collaboration and how you can do that through the Edulastic platform. Hopefully, you'll leave here with some ideas about using this with your colleagues or your teachers or your PLCs, because I think, as Barbara said, using these collaboration tools will definitely help lessen the stress that we're all experiencing right now. So the way that we got here was when I started in this position 3 years ago, we were looking for a way to build a district item bank. A lot of our teachers in the district like to write their own items. Some of them have even had item writing training. And so we were looking for something that they could put multiple items in, share in the district, possibly do some common assessments. And we looked at several different platforms, and we chose Edulastic. We actually use Edulastic for our 4 content areas, so it's not just math, but math, of course, is what I focus on. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with that. I'm going to share my screen, and says, I think you're still sharing, maybe, Jan? Okay.
I just stopped sharing. You should be able to take over.
All right. Great. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yeah, looks great. Thank you, Rhonda.
Okay, thank you. So how we started with this is we had some teachers who were piloting the program for us, and they got to use the paid version, and they got to see all the resources and tools that were there. And so then we started bringing those teachers together when we began this last fall. Now, I will tell you that, of course, we started last fall. We were going really, really well, and then the spring happened. And so we didn't get to write quite as many items as we had hoped to when we started, but we're still working on that and hoping to proceed with that. But you can see that some of these things that I have here, these are where we did the item writing together. The teachers came, wrote items, vetted the items, they selected them to give to their students, and then they were able to look at the reports for those common items. So an easy way to share is every item in Edulastic has its own item number. So once our teachers were writing items, then they could take this item number and they could share it with others who could then do a search for that particular item by item number. Another way that they were able to share that was pretty easy is to be able to put this into the district item bank. So we were able to, if you notice here, I've got one that is in draft form and one that is in published form. And I wanted to do that because what we found out is that to do that, to change the bank, that we actually had to make sure that we go ahead and publish the assessment, but you do not have to assign the assessment. So this arrow will allow you to do that. Once you get to this point, you can actually change your item bank, or your collection rather. And so at this point, then you can share this with the district. So anyone in my district can now see all the items as well as the assessment itself. You can also share it to everyone, which would put it in the public item collection. You can share it with link sharing and then individuals. So this is the setting that I wanted to talk the most about, because this is the one that we love. This setting actually allows me to share this with an individual teacher or someone from our district. So I'm just going to do this with my colleague. All right, and I'm going to there we go. All right, and I can let her either view and duplicate, which would allow her to use the assessment, use the items, but she cannot make edits to it. She cannot change the assessment. Or I can allow her to edit and remove items. When I do this, then I can copy the link, and then I can share that with her. So once that link is copied, then I can share it with her, and it'll pop up here. Now, I will tell you, we did learn that it doesn't automatically share it. You can choose to send the email notification, or you could send a separate email and share that link with that person. So what our teachers have been able to do is when they come together, they are able to use that tool, and they can work on the assessments much like you would a Google Doc or another area where you might collaborate at the same time. So you can actually be collaborating on the exact same assessment at the same time. And this was a great way for them. And we've had teachers that are doing common planning. Now we bring together our grade bands. So our 6th through 8th grade math teachers come together in grades, and they do common planning and collaboration. And they've used this quite a bit in order to collaborate on their assessments, because then they go back and give common assessments. Then they're able to talk about the reports and analyze those questions for the vetting process. The other way that you can actually share your assessments is from your teacher account. If you go to manage classes, okay, and you select your class, then you can add a co-teacher to your class. You can also add students if you would like, but you can add a co-teacher to your class. Let me do that by email, see if it'll pull it up that way. Well, I'm just going to do this. All right, and then you add this teacher to your class. I'm not going to do that because that's one of our teachers that wouldn't know what I was sending them. When they are added to your class, then your teachers can actually, those teachers can actually give your assessments. They can see your assessments. They can see the reports for your students. Now, one thing that I will tell you about the add teacher, I'm not sure if this has been changed, so someone may know the answer to this, but I know that before you could not remove that teacher from your class. So you couldn't go back and remove that teacher. That teacher would always be a part of that class. It works out really, really well if you have teacher teams. We had a teacher that had to leave in the fall, wasn't able to come back into our district, and their teacher teams make each other co-teachers in their class. So another teacher was just able to take right over and start assigning things to those students until they could get a substitute and then an extended sub into that class. So that's worked really, really well as a collaboration tool. The only tool that will allow others, though, to edit the same test or the same assessment rather as you is that co-teacher, the co-author link when sharing it with another author. Okay, and then the other things that I kind of just wanted to mention to you are just the items. And I was going to show you some of the items that our teachers really love. And this has really been beefed up this year. So if you guys have used it before and you haven't looked at it this year, the way these are organized now is so much easier to see than it was before. And they actually have just, it's all listed out for you, and you can actually see all the different ways that you can use these different types of questions. Multiple choice, of course, lots of teachers use that. We've found, though, that our students really struggle with those tech-enhanced questions that are not just the standard multiple choice. And so Edulastic has so many different question types that you can choose from. So our teachers really like the drag and drop, the text drop down. Our students see a lot of that on standardized tests. And so they really like using that, and they can put those into their assessments, and then students have access and they have experience with those type of questions. And so it's not a shock when they see them later. The classify and match, those are other questions they really like. One thing with this resequencing question that our math teachers use this for is they can type in a sequence to solving an equation or a proof or anything like that, and then they can have the students to resequence those steps as an assessment question. I'm trying to get our math teachers to use the writing ones a little bit more, especially this passage one. I haven't broken through to them, most of them yet, but a lot of them shy away from this one. But I think this one is great. I saw yesterday someone was using it with a video, so I think that's awesome. And then, of course, you get down here and you have those specific math questions, and you can see those as well. The graphing questions are very user-friendly. Our teachers like this platform and using these graphing questions better than any of the others they have access to. And then the last one that I wanted to point out was the multi-part. And the great thing about this combination of multi-part is you can do A, B, C, you can keep doing parts, and within those parts, you can do different question types. So just because your part A is a multiple choice question does not mean that your part B can't be a text drop down entry. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just kind of talk a little bit about the other things that I wanted to just remind or tell you guys, especially those of you that are new to Edulastic and even those of you that have used it before, is that there are some great new aspects and great new tools that they have just rolled out this year. And the ones that we really love is you can now write individual questions. Last year when we started the item writing process, when we would select the right items or the teachers would write items and put into Edulastic, they had to sync that with an assessment. So you might see an assessment on your page, the dashboard, that has 2 or 3 questions because those were the questions that particular teacher wrote. But you can now actually write individual items, link them to your standards the same way as before, but they don't have to be linked to an assessment at that time. The other thing that they like is that we really like and they use quite often is you can also now make corrections in an assessment on a key, and it has a regrade feature. And the redirect feature we've used tons of this year with students. We actually used it with some students ourselves. We were helping some teachers out because of trying to give grace and trying to work with students on time and time management and with the online learning. And it has so many different features. You can redirect a student, a group of students, an entire class, and you can have it be redirected with their the questions that they got correct locked. It can give them answers if you want to, or you can withhold that information. So the teachers have a lot of different things that they can do when they use that redirect feature.